imagination tests. Now, different people's imaginations work different ways. So I'd like for you to understand what way your imagination works best, whether you're stronger in one sense than another. There are 5 different senses which our imagination works. There's sight, sound, feeling, taste, and smell. So I'm going to guide you through a journey where you can experience each of these. And I want you just to allow yourself to step into your imagination and explore what's there. And just be aware of what's stronger and what's weaker. And I don't want you to judge it while you're going through it, but afterwards I want you to sit and contemplate how your imagination works so that you can be aware whether you're using meditation, hypnosis, or learning, or anything in your life, what is best going to connect you to that part of your mind that's going to understand things. So I want you to get comfortable, close your eyes, and relax. And to start with, I want you to imagine a dog running around, a nice happy dog. Imagine for some reason that dog gets wet and it comes up in front of you, and as dogs do when they're wet, it shakes and flicks all that water off. And imagine seeing those beads of water fly through the air. Maybe you can even imagine a rainbow of light as the sun hits those beads. Perhaps you can imagine the feeling of that water landing against your skin, on your arms or your legs. Maybe you can imagine that wet dog's smell. I like you to imagine that somebody hands you a towel. Maybe you can see them hand that to you. Perhaps you can imagine the feel, the texture of that towel in your hand. And as you rub it against your arms and legs, maybe you can imagine that feeling of that texture running up and down your arms and legs. Maybe you can even imagine the sound of that. I'd like you to imagine going inside and seeing lots of different people who you love and respect there. And everybody seems excited to see you. And somebody who you really do care for comes over and gives you a nice big hug. Imagine feeling their arms wrapped around you as they give you a loving embrace. Imagine them guiding you over to a chair, pulling it out for you. Maybe you can imagine that squeak as that chair comes out and the legs rub against the ground. As you sit down in it, maybe you can feel that chair against your back, your buttocks. You can imagine that loved one's hands pressing down on your shoulders. Just sitting there, they're touching you gently on the shoulders. As you see somebody else you care about coming towards you with a cake. And everybody's starting to circle around the table. And they place that cake down in front of you. And they start putting candles in there. Imagine seeing them push each candle into that cake. And pull out a box of matches. Hear that rattle of those matches as they open that box and pull one out. Hear the strike as they light that match and smell that sulfury smell of a freshly lit match. Imagine watching them light each of those candles, seeing the flicker and dance of the flame as everybody starts to sing that song that people do when a birthday cake is being lit. Imagine hearing that. As you take a big, deep breath in and blow all those candles out. Imagine smelling that smoke rise, seeing those grey wisps of smoke rise up from those candles. Maybe you can imagine everybody now chanting out that hip hip hooray that sometimes happens at the end of a birthday song. As you pick up a knife and cut that cake, I'd like you to imagine feeling the resistance of the cake against the knife and the clunk as you hit the plate at the bottom. Imagine as you cut up each bit and dish it out, the smiles on the faces of the people you hand that cake to. Imagine dishing your own piece of that cake up and then going to enjoy it. Imagine the smell just before you take that first bite. And imagine biting into it, feeling the texture of that cake in your mouth as you chew it. Enjoying the taste of that cake in your mouth. Feel it as you swallow it. Imagine taking another bite, enjoying that flavour again. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back to the room you're in. And think about it. Think about it now, whether you could see that dog clearly, if you could see the beads of water, if you could see the faces of your friends and family, if you could see the flames flicker and dance, if you could hear the birthday song, if you could hear the hip hip hooray, if you could hear any of the sounds going on, the match, if you could smell that sulfury smell or the smoke or the wet dog smell or the cake, if you could taste that cake, all these different sensations of what you could have possibly experienced. Work out what the strength is, where your primary one is and your secondary. Learn where your weakness is. Now, these are going to apply for learning for you later on. If you're quite visual, it's going to help for you to have visual stimulus as you learn new things. If the sound was stronger for you, you're going to learn quite well from listening to something like a video presentation like this, like an audio book or a podcast while you drive. If you really felt those things in the body and could feel that hug and the water landing on you and things like that, then perhaps you might learn better from doing and experiencing different things. Apply this to how you meditate, apply this to how you learn, and you will benefit greatly. Thanks.